I'm gonna try the standard YouTube intro. Let's try this. I used Sonarworks for the first time in one of my most recent mixes, but did it make a difference? Let's see. I've copped this software that I've been seeing so much about, hearing so much about, called SoundID. And it's by a company called Sonarworks. And it's designed to calibrate your speakers according to your room and their placements to give you a flat, neutral response so you can make the best decisions when it comes to mixing. Just for reference, I'm in an apartment. I'll have little to no room treatment. I got these sound panels from Amazon. I forgot the name of the brand, but they're really good. But I only have those sound panels, and I primarily mix in my headphones, and I also reference what I'm doing in my speakers. I also want to mention that I'm not a professional engineer by any means. It's really good for producers who might not have the bread to send money to engineers to get their stuff mixed. Let's jump into this record that I made called Free Game. I'm gonna show y'all how I approached using SoundID for this record and kind of some of the things that I've noticed in the mix and how SoundID's kind of helped me to navigate this. Enough about that. Let's get into it. Oh, before we start, I also want to mention that was a weird camera angle. I said because I got this mic arm right here and I'm trying to grab this box. So what you get when you buy SoundID, you get this microphone, and basically you use this to tune your speakers. So the way SoundID works, what you're gonna do, you'll install the software and it'll guide you how to tune your speakers.
Stay where you are. Measurements in progress.
Sometimes you put this right up against your right monitor. Sometimes you put this right up against your left monitor. Closer toward the end, you're gonna be putting it in different parts of your room. It's really cool. It measures the distance of your monitors. I even got a tape measure just to double check, and it was accurate. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. All right, so let's get into it. I'm gonna show y'all how I approach mixing this record with SoundID. All right, so we are in Ableton. I'm gonna show y'all the interface really quick. So what SoundID is, it's essentially a plugin that you put in on your master chain. Like I said before, once you go through the speaker measurement process, this is what the software had to do to give you a flat response. So this is what it looks like. These are my Atom Audio monitors. I got the A4Vs. And essentially, this is what it is before the calibration. You can see we lost some of the low end, and there's this weird dip right at like 1,000 kilohertz. But once we add that calibration, it basically tweaks all of those areas. You see where it was at dip at 1,000 kilohertz. It basically brought that back up to the point where now everything's just flatline. You don't make music with this on here. You are listening. You're done with the music. You're done with the production process. Now you're actually mixing it. What you want to do when you're using this, you want to add this first. This song was pretty much already done when I got SoundID. If I were to go back and do this over again, I would start the mixing chain with this at the very beginning. That way I can make those decisions a lot sooner, and we might have even had a much cleaner mix. Another thing that I want to mention is that when you're doing your speaker calibration, you can use your preset and select a calibration profile, and you can add your headphones. So let's say you're using like Audio Technicas. They have a lot of models that you can choose from. See, I have that selected right here. They have a wide range of headphones. And what happens is once you select the headphones, it calibrates those headphones to give us a flat response. So that way we can make those decisions here just like we can make them out here. All right, so that's SoundID. Let's play this record. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna just walk you guys through some of the things that I was hearing. When I originally put SoundID on, some of the things that I was hearing, the kick wasn't really punching through the mix like I wanted it to. I got drum shaper on this kick, and I basically added a little bit more attack to it. I threw another EQ on the end. I added Pro Q3 to boost some of that mid-range on that kick just a little bit, so it can cut through the mix a lot more. The low end was definitely there, but you know, it don't hurt to add just a little bit more punch to it. So one of the dope things about Ableton 11 is the saturator plugin, and you can essentially have control over where you want to add that color to using the color curve. So for the kick, I gave it a little bit of boost at 116 hertz. That way the kick not only cuts through, but also has a little bit more character. So another thing that I noticed is that the instruments were a little bit buried in the mix. Like they weren't really shining. It's a symphony of very bright instruments. So I'm like, yo, we need to really feel that. And I wasn't really feeling that in the SoundID calibration. So I gave us just a bit of a boost on the high frequencies with a high shelf on EQ8. And I also added side Q from Sound Toys. I boosted some of those, that mid-range and high mid-range up just a little bit. And I added a little bit of drive to it as well. So that way it cuts through the mix even more. The last thing that I did, so I have 2 instances of Ozone. The way this works is that I have an EQ and an imager on the first instance. That way I can really kind of tailor that sound a little bit, give it width, and we can kind of process it from there. On the equalizer on Ozone, I boosted those high frequencies just a little bit. The second instance of Ozone, I added another EQ, a dynamic EQ, just to get just to tailor that audio a little bit more. And I added the maximizer. I went back and listened to the mixes in the car. I listened to them in the sound bar. And mind you, this is everything that I've done in SoundID. I've done it after doing everything in SoundID. Usually my process is, all right, I'm done, mixed it, mastered it. Let me go listen to it in the car. Let me listen to it in the living room on the sound bar. Listen to another pair of headphones. I will hear differences all over the place and just be like, you know what? I'm gonna make one more change and it's gonna be it. But with SoundID, after I made these changes, it sounded literally good everywhere. Like, it sounded good in the car, it sounded good on the soundbar, and it sounded good in my other pair of headphones. I'm like, yo, this is what we need. This is perfect. This is for all producers. If you just want to get a really clean mix, or even just like a reference mix before you even send it to an engineer, whatever you want to do, I think it is extremely wise to always get a second pair of ears. You always need somebody to listen to your stuff again before you put it out. But that's it. I just want to put y'all on game to something that's been helping me out a whole lot. Appreciate y'all so much for watching, for sticking around. If y'all got any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Send me a DM on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I'll wrap with y'all soon. Peace.